The first episode of Book of Boba Fett just dropped, and we gotta talk about it. Here's some Easter eggs and things you might have missed, as well as my overall thoughts on episode number 1. Let's go! The episode opens up with Fett healing in his Bacta, and apparently being in the Bacta is what's giving him these dreams. I don't know if that's part of healing his memory or something that could be going on, or potentially just the sensory deprivation. But it's an interesting plot device in order to make him go back and kind of relive those moments. It was also really nice to see Kamino intact, because the last time we saw it, whew, some bad things were happening. Additionally, we get a look at a shot from Attack of the Clones where he's mourning the loss of his father. Interesting enough, though, there are 2 scenes in this that were not in Attack of the Clones. I wonder if it's just unused footage or if they recreated it somehow. Either way, it's cool to see. And no, Jango's head was not still in the helmet, for anyone watching. It's cool to see how Boba canonically escaped from the Sarlacc pit. We can see the way that he got out of here. It kind of signifies rebirth, because he looks like he's in a big old birth canal. Yeah, just rebirth things. But again, this is much better than we saw in Legends. In Legends, he escaped once and then fell right back in, and then formed a telepathic link with the Sarlacc, and eventually ended up blowing up his jetpack to get out. But the whole story was super weird, and I'm happy they condensed it and made it somewhat plausible within the Star Wars universe. I appreciate the upgrade. Also, Jawas are just the worst. Yeah, they're terrible little people. They left my boy for dead after stripping him. Now, we already knew this was going to happen because we got Cobb Vanth's story, and obviously Boba was alive then. So, yeah, they left my boy for dead, but the Jawas are no one to play with. They are not nice people. Just saying. Quick throwback to A New Hope, where we see the Tusken Raiders travel in single file line. This helps them hide their numbers. When this Tusken Raider warrior came out to challenge Boba Fett, I immediately picked up on the fact that it appeared to be a woman. I'm going to call a minor love interest here. I'm going to call, we're going to get under the masks and he's going to see what they're like. And they ain't bad. I think we're going to find out that they actually come from all types of different species. I had to make sure that was correct, so I did my homework. This is stunt woman Joanna Bennett. She's done stunts for Captain Marvel, for Mira and Aquaman, for Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman. Just all around badass. It's awesome to see her do her thing. But I think she's going to be a really big part of this first season. We'll see. We start with an Aqualish, which is not capable of making the sounds in order to speak basic. And so we get the line at the end, we need a protocol droid.
We really need a protocol droid.
Then comes in a Trandoshan by the name of Doc Strassi, and this scene has a bunch of Easter eggs. First of all, Trandoshans and Wookiees do not get along at all. They're actually like meant to fight each other, and Trandoshans take a lot of pleasure taking down Wookiees. So his offering being a full Wookiee pelt is a little... It's awkward considering how much we love Chewbacca, but that's a prized possession for him. And so it's a very, like, that's a big gift. It's a really big gift. On top of that, that's Robert Rodriguez, the director that is under that mask. So that's pretty cool as well. The third thing is he calls him a daimyo. This is a nod to the Japanese culture that inspired Star Wars in the first place. That's what you would call the ruler of your prefecture. Next, we get the Mayor's Aide, and I love the scene so much because I hate it so much. If you don't know, we recently played a tabletop RPG based around Star Wars, and this character is exactly like one of the characters in our game played by our friend JB. It was just really awkward seeing this character knowing that one, because they're the same person. Check out, if you want to listen to us play like a Star Wars D&D type thing, then check it out. It's on the channel. It's called Voyage of Destruction.
I would not be surprised if you receive another delegation in the near future.
I think this line is a lot more important than we're really paying attention to, at least for this episode, because I think this signifies the reason why Boba Fett got jumped later on in the episode. I think it was the mayor that sent it. But we'll get into that more once it's happening. I also love the nod to Return of the Jedi, because this droid that's considering torturing, these poor Gamorreans is the same droid that we saw torturing a Gonk droid in Return of the Jedi.
Their tortured squeals will send a piercing message to all potential challengers to your throne.
No! No! No!
So he's staying true to himself for sure, but I'm not sure that's the person you want running your HR for your new empire. I don't know. I think they need an upgrade, but we'll see. It might pay off for them. I don't know. I love seeing them walk into this new cantina, because first of all, this place looks like it has AC. The other ones look sweaty as balls. Seriously, like this one looks much nicer. Even the music got a bit of an upgrade. It's the same cantina song. This one has a little bit more of a Caribbean vibe, You got our boy Max Rebo back, and who knows, that might be Figure and Dan, playing that mandolin type instrument. I thought this scene was cool. We also have a droid here that looks a lot like R3X. Now, known as DJ Rex, normally spinning tunes in Oga's Cantina, if you ever happen to make your way to Galaxy's Edge. Then we get to the big action scene. We have these guys jump in, they have shields, they have stun batons, and we're trying to figure out who they are. Now the clothing on them looks very similar to people that we see helping out Crimson Dawn. Whether or not it's going to be the same organization, we don't know. We have to remember this is set a few years, 5 years past, more than 5 years past the events that first introduced those characters. Now in the credits of this episode, they are called Nightwind Assassins, which is different, but they did seem to be using the same stun batons. The shields, however, are new. They look an awful lot like shields used in the book Master and Apprentice, and those were powered by colon crystals. Colon crystals looked a lot like kyber crystals, but functioned entirely differently. You don't want a colon crystal in your lightsaber. It does not work very well, but that's what powered the shields, and they look very similar. That scene makes me laugh every time. Like, man, he's dead. I haven't seen a good parkour scene in a while, so I'm happy to get it here. Although it's very, very Assassin's Creed or the first James Bond film. I do hope we get more information on what exactly is wrong with Boba Fett. I mean, it's cool that they gave him a weakness so he's not just out just murking everyone, and we actually develop with a story. But he wasn't even able to walk when they brought him in. Back in the flashbacks, we get our second allusion to the black melons that grew. Previously, Jabba the Hutt imposed a water tax on everyone. So if you're a moisture farmer, people would come by in swoop bikes and they would take a portion of your water back to them. We see these people are resisting, and this is what happens to them. Now, we don't know exactly what's going on here. It's possible that now that Jabba's dead, people don't want to pay. We don't really know, but we did see them mark this hut with a symbol. Now, this is not a symbol I'm familiar with. This is not Jabba the Hutt's symbol. It looks like JL Audio. If you bought car audio products in the early 2000s, but hopefully we actually get some more insight into this. I wonder if this could potentially be linked to the Mining Guild. Now, the Mining Guild are people that moved on to Tatooine and started taking over places after the we saw them in Cobb Vanth's story, which took place directly after the destruction of the second Death Star. But that story implies that these guys were already here and already growing. I wonder if this could be related to that group of people. Now we get our second reference to the black melons, which are found in the desert. They actually grow in the desert and contain this kind of milky liquid that now we're seeing looks like water. But it's interesting because, these were first introduced in the Star Wars 2015 comic line in the notebook of Obi-Wan Kenobi. But there was a period of time where he was going to try and sell them because the water tax that Jabba was imposing got so high that people were starting to die of dehydration. So it's really cool to see that since the Tusken Raiders are mining these, or picking them, I guess is a better way to put it. This is part of what gives them their freedom and part of what represents their freedom. And I think that's really what we're seeing the celebration of, and why Boba Fett wasn't allowed to just drink because he didn't have that freedom. But he got it in the end. I absolutely love the design of this monster at the end, and it's nothing I've ever seen before in Star Wars. I think it's an entirely new creation. Hopefully we get a name for it. Looks a lot like Machamp, the Pokemon, but the way it switched from being bipedal with 4 arms to being to having 4 legs, or to using its front arm or middle arms as legs as it chased him down, I thought was just a really cool detail, and I just really like small things like that. It was well put together. But of course we have the ending of this. The chain that was used as the symbol of his oppression is what he uses in order to kill it. The same way that Leia does to Jabba. And in the end, his chains are broken, and that's what he celebrates. And in the end, our boy gets his melon, he's able to drink and start to quench his thirst, and not a moment too soon. Dude is ashy. I just wanted to run over and give him some chapstick, rub some Jergens on him. He's starting to look like the Thing. That's how bad it is. Like, whew, you need to, especially from someone that was always wearing a helmet, he needs to moisturize. I think that's what the back of the tank is doing, really. All in all, this wasn't a groundbreaking episode, but was definitely an awesome base to start with. We got to set up the past and who he is, and now we're going to start from this baseline journey to who he's going to become. We know that he is trying to rule rather than just be a bounty hunter, rather than just be a simple man trying to make his way through the galaxy. And I really think it's going to be explained as his time with the Tusken Raiders and forming bonds with them and protecting them, that he is going to learn what it's like, that order needs to be imposed sometimes, but it can be done in a way that's not overly oppressive. I think that's what we're getting into here. Another thing that we're going to run into is we're going to find out that in the absence of Jabba, and in the absence of Bib Fortuna, that it was really incumbent upon the mayor to try and step up and rule things. Boba stepping into that vacuum, and I think that's going to be a major source of conflict in probably the first 2 to 3 episodes. I feel like this is the mini boss, and I feel pretty confident that the mayor is the person that hired the assassins. That was our first sign of disrespect. And of course, we had that line about another delegation visiting him soon. What do you guys think? So yeah, those are the things I noticed, and that's my kind of future predictions for it. But I want to hear from you guys. What did you think of the episode? Was this a great start, or was this a little lackluster? What do you want to see? Any cameos that you are predicting? Quinlan Voss, a million times Quinlan Voss. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, and do all the things. I always appreciate it. And may the Force be with you always.